Hey everyone, this is Show versus Business, your weekly take on pop culture from two very different perspectives with your host, the real Theo Harvey, and Mr. Benja, coming with all the relevant info about the week in pop culture. So, Mr. Benja, what are we covering today?
Today, we have 5 bangers that we're gonna be bringing to you. The first one out the gate, we have Netflix taking over sports just like they do everything else. You didn't think they could get any bigger on the sly, right in front of your face. It's happening with them. Also, we got an AI watch as always. The Singularity is here. Give it about maybe 5, 7, at max 10 years, and we'll be there. If you forgot what the Singularity is, we'll bring that up to you as well. Also, the actor strike finally over. Hollywood's still in trouble though. We got a long way to go, but this is a step forward in some direction. Is it the right direction? Theo will be here to tell you more about that. And speaking of Hollywood and trying to fix things up, we're going to have to talk about Disney because they might be effing up. I retract that. Disney's effing up. So we got to talk about it. We got to let them know that the draw stank and they need to be changed. And finally, we're going to rant on Loki and the Marvels and the current state of the MCU just a little bit. Pinged on it a little bit in the past couple shows, but now that we've seen Loki and now that the Marvels is out, we just want to wrap it up in a nice little bundle of rant sandwich. Theo, I don't know if I should have said rant sandwich, but I did anyway. What do you think of those stories?
Hey man, I am super excited, man. Super excited. And just FYI, the Loki and the Marvels, we're going to do some spoiler territories. If we get into that, we'll definitely say spoilers.
But we left it for
Reveal
the end.
yeah, we left it for the end. But yeah, Mr. Benja, story time for me. Mr. Benja, have you ever did a crazy 48-hour visit to Vegas?
Yes.
You know what
That's
my week was like. Yeah, man. This week I went to Vegas, baby. The missus and then my sister-in-law, my sister and my brother-in-law, they wanted to go. And the big thing was they wanted to go see Usher, baby. Usher has a residency in Vegas and has been getting a lot of buzz on social media. And so they wanted to go. And I was like, Usher, I've been around, I know Usher, whatever. But I said, I'll go to go. Man, that dude puts on a show, bro. I forgot, man, how talented he was. He's just always been around. He always had a little hit here and there,
yeah.
but he always was like supplanted by like maybe Bruno Mars or Chris Brown or these other kind of R&B slash hip hop guys. But he's always been the standard. He's always had like a little bop on the song radio, got a new bop now. He started going viral with that. All the TikTokers, they know him
Yeah,
from
yeah.
that, or the little millennials and Gen Zers. So it's like he's just been a consistent constant. And the thing that impressed me the most, the dude's 45 years old. So basically our age, out there still doing moves when he was in his 20s. So he's doing, look, the handstand, the back bend. I'm sure he's sitting in the ice tub right after that concert. I don't care who you are, that at 45, you're gonna be feeling that. And then he did a whole set when he was literally on roller skates.
Yeah, I've seen images of
Yeah,
that.
and he's going the backwards, and it's like a couple of times he got close to the end of the stage. It's like, oh no, this could be a disaster. And I mean, he maintained it, and then he did the whole strip club thing, which Atlanta, that's what it is. He had a whole strip club brought in on stage, and live strippers doing what they do, tastefully, of course, but still,
Tasty.
still, yeah. How tasteful can you get when you have cakes like that, right? It's like, some
Right,
cake
right.
out doing their thing. So anyway, a long story short, man, it was worth the price and the price of admission going out there. And yeah, we don't really talk about like artists that have been around a long time like that, but just put it in context. Michael Jackson was 50 years old when he passed away, and he was basically on his last legs and was dealing with issues with pain. And here we got 45-year-old guy still performing at a high level. That just goes to show you that there's a difference in different artists. How they maybe they learned from the past artists
Mhm.
is how to have that longevity. Really impressed, man. I don't know. Did
Yeah.
you have any thoughts on Usher in general, specifically?
Usher, no, Usher's a performer, definitely. He falls in that category, and he was a I don't wanna say protege, but he did come off the Michael Jackson line. Him, Chris Brown, a lot of these other performers, he really got a lot of their blueprint from Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson had issues with drugs and health in general, but to see somebody like Usher doing it at that level, knowing about health in this new era, I think it makes sense that he's a little more resilient, knowing what to expect. Because yeah, he's how far removed is he from that 30 years difference between him and Michael Jackson? I
Yeah, good point. A good analogy would probably be like Michael Jordan and LeBron James, right? So
Mhm.
Usher would never be at a level of Michael Jackson, right? And probably LeBron would never be the level of Michael Jordan, but the longevity of LeBron James, right? He's been around for what 21 years at a high
Yeah,
level of basketball. Here it is, 30 years for Usher, and he's still performing at a high level that we remember him as. Even his hair, I don't know if he's putting some dye in the hair, probably is, but it's got the same haircut. He literally looks like he's still when you
yeah,
first met him, and that's very rare for celebrities. And so they try, but not too many of them can maintain that same look you remember when you first got introduced to them, right? And so I
yeah,
thought that was interesting. So yeah, man. Yeah, I've got some bops on the radios. I always got something, and he's collaborated with everybody. I went back and saw some stuff he did with City Girls. He had Beyonce dancing for him one time when he was doing a set. And you go back to when we first started college, man. He had that album Usher, man, when he was a little kid, and that was a bop, man. Matter of fact, in the concert, it was so funny. He was like, "Who my day ones here? Who my day ones here?" So everybody knew everyone's song. Then he went back to Usher. If you remember some of the songs from that, but Can You Get With It? I don't know if you remember that song or some other songs like that. And me and my wife are the only ones singing the whole stadium. I get stop singing that because a lot of people came on board when My Way hit. That was
yeah.
the big bop that everybody knew. And of course, Confessions, that was like phenomenal for him. Anyway, I just want to give him a shout out, give him flowers while he's around, man. But I was just, yes, supremely impressed, man. That's why I'm really advocate now to go see concerts of artists now because you never know. It's just good to see people high perform high at that level.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of the physical thing and performing at that high level, it's like I follow David Goggins, and he's one of those people who was like, "No, you can turn this around. I know you're into the health scene." And that's one of those health stories. If you look at an old, you know, fat, out of shape David Goggins, and then look at him now, what he's been able to achieve and push through, it's pretty amazing. And makes me want to get up and do some push-ups. So tell you, it's funny, I have a thing, real quick little tip for people. If ever I'm sitting down and I'm scrolling through Instagram, I have 3 or 4 fitness influencers that I follow. And if any one of them comes up and they're just like, "Ooh, yeah, that was a great shoulder workout, this and that." I'm like, "Crap, gotta do it." Put the phone down, knock out 25, 50 push-ups right then, and just keep going. It's funny because 'cause I'll just be sitting in my bed just, "Yeah, I'm scrolling Instagram. Damn it, push-ups."
That's a good way to do it. I used to get motivated just going to the gym and seeing people work out. So, oh, I got to step it up. I don't used to go to the gym as much as I used to. I'm starting to do more Orange Theory. But yeah, man,
Wait,
I'm motivated after watching our show. I'm
what
like, man,
theory?
Orange Theory? You never heard of that?
I don't even know what you said. Orange it or
Orange Theory. It's like a bike treadmill type exercise routine. Dr. Chris, maybe we'll have Dr. Chris on one time. He's doing it as well. It's been around forever.
huh,
And it's like a fitness. It's like a low level, what's it called? CrossFit, right? You do
okay.
different exercise movements and stuff. And the theory is you want your heartbeat in the orange zone, which is typically around 83% to 90% of its capacity. And so your body, when you're trying to stay in that zone, that's the maximum fat burning, maximum energy level. You don't want to get in the red zone, which is 95%. That means you're
Yeah.
taxing your heart too much. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I just found it on a website. It's like this take on like you said, CrossFit, which is high impact interval training. And I see. Smarter workout for more results.
Mhm.
With the logo that looks like what was that old stupid logo? Because that's what I thought it was when I first saw it. It's like the Splat logo. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm surprised you never heard of it, man. They've been around for a while. Obviously, there've been so many other kind of fitness studios that do all kinds of things from Pilates to the cycling, Soul Cycle, all this stuff. But Orange Theory has just been pretty steadily increasing. And the thing I liked about Orange Theory is being a little bit more modernized. It used to be where you track your heart monitor. It was crappy. is
It
really
really
good now. So I got aspect about it. But yeah, so I'm trying to do more of that stretching. You put me on to that, Mr. Benja. But yeah, man, we gotta do stuff like that, man. We wanna keep pushing.
I was archiving some DVDs and putting them in digital format, and I ran across some old Tybo DVDs I had, right?
Yeah, bro.
So I was like, "Hey, man, those Tybo DVDs just to knock it out the box." I looked up, Billy Blanks is still doing his thing. I'm like, "Okay." When they finished digitizing, I was about to go on to the next set of DVDs, and then I got that moment where I was like, "Hmm,
I
alright,
love it, man. Yeah, I
I got."
forgot about time, but I used to do that all the that's so man. I love that song. Let me do my time man. It was such a fun little workout, man. You felt like you did a little something.
I tried to
Matter
do
of
a
fact, go ahead.
I said I tried to do a high kick and then sat back down.
You thought you could really kick somebody's ass after doing time. You're like, man, I'm ready, man. I can come on. I wish it would. Come on. I'm ready.
I wish they would, wish they would.
I wish they would. Yeah, man. He actually showed up in a video for artists. I can't remember the name of the artist now, but yeah, he's still doing his thing, man. For those that know, Billy Blanks was a martial artist and became an actor. He did all these different lifestyles, but he really became famous when he came up with the Taibo workout DVD to VCR series, and that hit the waves in the early 2000s. And a lot of us took those videos. That was the first, I think a lot of us, they had those before. Jane Fonda and other folks, Suzanne Summers, rest in peace, and other folks. But that was like Tybo, whatever it was, man. Billy Blanks just sold us all on Tybo. We jumped on it. Man, this is good stuff, Mr. Bitcher. How was your week, man? What you got talked about?
Speaking of Tybo and physically fit, there's this kid I run into every so often, and he's just trying to find his way in the world. And he's always, "Hey, man, I found this and I found that." I'm like, "Okay. Oh, yeah, that's from that school of people. I got you." He's like, "Yeah, man, I'm looking into this." I'm like, "Cool." See him again every couple weeks later. He's, "Oh, yeah, man, I ran across this guy, Jordan Peterson. He was talking about this and that." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, you're trailing into dangerous territory. Just remember when you're talking to people, be sure you have your shit together before you just start repeating what he says because you could end up in some arguments, whatever." And he's, "Really?" I say, "Yeah, just trust me." He's, "Oh, yeah, okay." Saw him later. He's like, "Yeah, I got into an argument. I said some things Jordan Peterson said, and they got mad. And yeah, but then my uncle, he was backing me." I was like, "Okay, yeah, I see. I'm just letting you know where you're going." So he just bounces around. I picked Jordan Peterson because the next person that came up was more interesting. And I was talking about, "Hey, listen, you don't have to necessarily like the work. You don't have to necessarily dislike the work, but you get in there and you respect the work. You get into this respect phase. It's just like it's not a dislike of the work and it's not a like of the work." I didn't want to use the term don't like because people assume that's the same thing as dislike. But I said, "Listen, just respect the work. You know what it's there for. You do it because it's part of the process and it gets done. And you respect it and you can enjoy the process, but you don't have to like the work." That's not what whenever I talk about work, I'm never putting forth that you have to quote unquote like it or have a passion for it or anything like that.
Mhm.
And he's, "Oh, man, you know what? You're right. That sounds a lot like Andrew Tate." And I was like,
Oh,
I was like, "Huh, okay." I looked into Andrew Tate before, but nothing really deeply. And I was like, okay, a lot you'll have overlap with a lot of people, but I was surprised he pointed that out. I was like, "Where'd you get that from?" He's like, "Oh, yeah, Andrew Tate talks about this, talks about that." I'm like, "Okay, all right." He's like, "Yeah, you should check out the stuff he's got." I'm like, "All right." Hadn't looked into it a lot. The last time I heard about him, some relationship guru was talking with him and they were arguing online. It just looked like clickbaity stuff. This is a very interesting cat and very indicative of a lot of what was going on. And because of the whole money and the show versus business angle that I find myself involved in, I had to look into this guy. Yeah, dude had how many subscribers paying $50 a month? He had 100,000 subscribers paying $50 a month. And it was just like pretty fascinating how he was turning over this business and doing what he was doing. And from what I could tell, a lot of it was this act. Like he used to do the kickboxing, right?
mhm.
and he would just walk in there and be like, I could tell that guy's chin is not based on that guy's chin and his cheekbone structure. I'm going to kick him in the face twice and he'll go down. And everybody's looking around the room. What is this guy talking about? Long story short, I get these materials from this kid about Andrew Tate, and dude is actually pretty intelligent. Uh, and it's surprising whenever you go deep into these people's things. I think the last time I felt this way was with Frank Luntz, the
Mhm.
political analyst, where I was like, this is dangerously intelligent stuff.
Mhm.
He's not just some musclehead. So I was like, interesting. Yeah, I got to. That's just been another thing that I put into the category of okay. Now I get where this whole thing is coming from. I'm not. He's got a lot of despicable stuff going on in his whole aura, but it's just been an interesting way of thinking. Now I see how he can change so many young minds. And I say that because there are a lot of young men out there, people who are confused about that angle. He might actually be worth listening to just to understand where they're coming from. Just, okay, that's what that's about. Okay, this is what Jordan Peterson's about. Okay, this is what, I don't know, even left wing, more leaning people, but it's a very interesting people out there. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, man. I'll just leave it at that. Andrew Tate, I mean, has come under for those that don't know, some issues with being uh, misogynistic, that's very, anti-women a little bit. And some of the things he says about women's roles and things like that have been based. I think he got booted off some of the platforms and stuff like that for some of his communication style. A lot of these gurus have a lot of power now, and it's alarming.
It's a lot of it, yeah, a lot of it is the style and the pushback against the arrogance of it because there are a lot of if you go to a lot of politicians, they'll speak this way very plainly, but he's just like, "No, this is it. Shut up."
Mhm,
And
mhm.
that I don't know if you've ever seen anybody really angry about somebody's arrogance. Like, "How is he so arrogant? I hate that guy." Have you ever seen that attitude pop up out of anybody? That's what led to him getting deplatformed and so forth, but extremely interesting guy.
Mm,
Not a
yeah,
good guy,
yeah. We don't
extremely
advocate
interesting.
him totally, but again, every one of these guys you can take something from in so many different pieces.
I will learn from the wolves and hang out with the lambs, or the
I
lions, or
understand that
lions,
too.
if you will.
Yeah, so interesting. I love it. You ready
We'll
to
do
get
more.
into it?
Do more on that a little more offline. But let's get into it right now with story number one. Netflix is taking over sports, boy, just like they do everything else. Anime, they came for it. Reality TV, they coming for it. International shows and translations, they coming for it. They got it. But now, oh, rom-coms, don't let me forget that. They coming for it. Guess what? They coming for your sports too. People thought they would leave sports alone. Nope. Theo, how does this have you feeling? You're the sports guy here.
I'm the sports guy.
The
Let's
sports
practice
authority.
for the sports authority. ESPN right now, live, breaking news. Yeah, man, Netflix is just starting to dominate everything. I just saw a recent report of how they brokered a deal with Warner Brothers to get all their more the 12 of the last DC films. They're going to drop on Netflix December 1st. So that's including HBO shows are now porting over to Netflix. So it does seem like Netflix is starting to win, because they're the only profitable streaming service out there starting to win this war against streaming. So I think the war is almost over, Mr. Pinch. It's just like Impress is giving up. But with that being said, the takeaway from Netflix is are they going to get to more live type programming like news and of course sports? And the big thing with Netflix is I don't know if you knew they had two reality shows that popped up on the scene that kind of took off a little bit for them, and they were in the sports area. One was F1 racing, and the other was golf. Golf is a known quantity that did pretty well for them, but F1 was a surprise because anything about racing, Americans don't really care about F1 racing. NASCAR, sure. But F1 racing with the sleek cars, we all play pole position. So we know, or Gran Turismo. So what those cars look like. but it's really a European sport. And it's one of those things like I don't think they even had any races here in the US. But because of this reality show where you actually got to know the racers and it was like living their lives, it blew up on Netflix. And so a lot of Americans got exposed to F1. And because of that, now I was in Vegas. They're now going to have their first ever night race on the Vegas Strip. So you have these cars going down at 200 miles per hour down the Vegas Strip, turning those hairpin turns, and it's going to be exciting. And it was a mess though, trying to get right before this week because it's happening. We're filming this about a week before it opens. It happens next weekend on November 18th. And I say that to say is like Netflix is influencing what's possible because it made it more popular. And then because of that, they're going to have the first live sports competition where they're going to
Yeah.
have these golf players combined with these uh, drivers, these race car drivers in a kind of a golf competition. And they're basically going to sell advertisement on it. And they're going to do the whole kind of CBS, ABC kind of sports rigmarole. It's called the Netflix Cup, the first live
Mm.
television televised sporting event. Yeah, Mr. Benja, they come for sports. I wouldn't be surprised if this goes off well for them. Right now, NBA TV rights are coming up. A
Yes.
lot of people going to bid for it. We know Apple's probably going to bid for it. Amazon, we already talked about this Black Friday football game coming up in a couple of weeks. I would be surprised if Netflix puts their bid in to get some NBA games. What do you think about this sports
I
live
think
action?
I like it, man. I think it's really intriguing because you can't just wholesale. You can, but I suppose, but most times these institutions don't just wholesale come in and take over, the spot. What they do is they take a slight sliver or a certain event or a certain chunk. Like if they have an all-star game, maybe, or a special exhibition series of matches, it might get relegated to this other platform or duplicated on this other platform if it's not wholesale exclusive to it. How does Netflix make its entryway into this? Maybe you could have like the 3-point contest and the slam dunk contest. Maybe that moves over to Netflix, or maybe it starts somewhere over there, or maybe there's a new type of introduction they make. Hey, mid-season behind the scenes with these characters and these players. Maybe that plays well on Netflix. I don't know. I remember back in the day when you and I were watching wrestling, how all of a sudden it's like you had Thursday Night Thunder, and that showed up on one station, and then you had like other stations doing this, and it was just like this weird little play of getting audiences and getting chunks of time to showcase things. So I think Netflix is really coming with this, and I'm really excited to see it actually because I think this will start to bring it out of the feeling that it has of this underground kind of. It still has this new underground spirit to it, right? Or is that just me? I don't know.
Yeah, it does. Netflix is the originator of this whole concept, right? Of streaming. So it just makes sense for them to innovate faster and better than everyone else and do it better and be the most profitable one out there. But the sports on streaming, I think it's starting to get some legs. We talked about Warner, let's go Max is starting to they have access to TNT content. So that's a lot of NBA games. They're showing NCAA basketball games. So there's a lot of content that Max can show live. Uh, Amazon is doing it. They're on Thursday Night Live. They have the Thursday night show that they won and paying in themselves for that one game. And then now they're going to have the Black Fridays. And then Apple TV's been doing a lot of baseball games, right? Every time you turn it on for the baseball season, there was another game. And then Peacock TV, I don't know if you saw that. I was going around to I was getting my hair cut last Saturday, and then I went to the comic book store and they were playing live WWE action because it was on Peacock last week. It was the one in the desert they do every year? And it was like, I guess if you had Peacock service, you could just watch it for free. I have the Peacock service. Opened it up. I said, sure enough, could watch all the favorite, The Miz, and it was like real live action happening across the world. Yeah, man, live sports is coming for streaming, and so I'm there for it. It's gonna be interesting. So that means to me, because a lot of the streaming services that can afford this, they have deep pockets, like the Apples, like the Amazons,
Yeah.
like the Netflix. So I'm assuming that all these sports entities, they're going to just get so much more money because now they're just going to be able to. Because right now you have network TVs holding on as much as they can to
Yeah.
sports, so they're gonna pay as much as they can. Then you got cable still hanging on, right? They're gonna pay as much as they can. They got these streaming services, so you got these three buyers that's gonna bid up everything. The NFL's gonna get richer, NBA's gonna get richer, MLB is gonna get richer. So you got all these kind of bidders out there for these live TV sports.
Yeah, man. I want to see Amazon, Netflix come through with their version of Wide World of Sports. Because
They
in
could.
this era, what's it going to be? It's going to be like the World Wide Web of sports. Going to have not alternative sports. You've got your F1, maybe throw some lacrosse in there. Strike a deal with Ice Cube. Have Big Three on Netflix. You know,
Pickleball, they could definitely that's a big thing.
oh yeah, get Usher's old self out there playing pickleball. You know,
I
I
love it. I
love it.
love it. Yeah. So good stuff. We'll keep an eye on this going forward.
Absolutely. But another thing we're going to keep an eye on is story number 2, the AI watch, the singularity. People were talking about it's decades away. It's maybe 50 years away. With all these recent technological innovations, people are saying, actually, it's probably years away.
Mm.
Now, this is, I don't want to say alarming, but a little bit thought provoking at the very least, and very concerning to some. Theo, we've talked about the singularity before, way back. I think it's time to bring that discussion back up again. What do you think of this whole singularity thing? We haven't defined it here, but we probably should in some sense. But what do you think?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, make sure I understand it. The singularity, a sense of the time where AI has I get confused a little bit. Is it the time where we have what they called I forgot what the term was, but is it gonna be a time where the AI is intelligently smarter than us or able to replicate itself faster than we can keep up or innovate faster than we can keep up? What's the exact terminology or how do you think we can define it?
I would say both, and this is actually a common confusion because nobody has a hard definition of what it is. But I guess the discussion now is what do we mean, and what does this guy mean by the singularity? To to give an example or a definition, I guess we could say that when technology gets to the point where it's irreversible and it's outpacing our understanding of it. So we've reached a point where you make a technology and you're like, listen, I don't even totally understand this technology, but it's going out and I can't keep up with it. Why are you putting the technology out? Because that company did and this company did. And if you have computers coding other computers and robots coding other robots, then all of a sudden it's going to get to a point where we're just trying to manage the system as it's spiraling out of our control, as opposed to controlling everything, calling up Microsoft, calling up the NSA and saying, "Hey, we're doing this, we're doing that." It's going to be like, "Hey, let me call up the NSA and say, oh my God, you did something we didn't expect. Prepare
Be
your
prepared.
servers." Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this too. There was a guest on the Real Time with Bill Maher. He was the guru that used to work for Meta. He talked about how social media was built to create enragement because enragement equals engagement.
Mhm.
So that's why we have these tribes and a lot of arguing back and forth in social media because that was what it was built for, right? It's not a bug, it's a feature because they knew people get engaged, enraged, they stay on the platform longer. And so that's why we have a democracy at risk. Likewise, AI, because there's no guardrails on it and the fact that these companies are competing to get more powerful engines and getting that out there and showing my stuff can do this and your stuff is better than your stuff. There's no guard. So now we're gonna have unchecked growth. And to your point, it's getting to a point where that's probably why the singularity is happening faster because there's competition involved. And now when that happens, people are just trying to build a bigger mousetrap. They think there's opportunities for to capture market share, right? Fast as possible. They're not putting any thought into what would happen when these tools get out of control. And that's the problem. They're not designed to be there's no sense of the problem with capitalism sometimes is great in a lot of ways, but the problem with it unchecked growth leads to a lot of inequities, a lot of other issues that we can't even fathom, right?
Mhm.
So I think that's the challenge is like the singularity probably will happen faster because we are really in an age of just unchecked growth and people are just being paid millions. We saw Netflix is going to pay what $1 million AI expert to come in and make you want to watch more Netflix show. So they're paying $1 million to make you watch more TV shows. Imagine what these other folks are paying to get the AI system smarter and smarter over time. So I just
Yeah,
see it happening faster.
exactly. And you got to consider it's some an obvious question. Both of us come from a technological background, programming, engineering, etc. One of the things that doesn't make sense to a lot of people is you're making it. Why can't you control it? And that's okay. I'm. It starts out simple where you're making a cake, one cake, you can control that. But let's say you're in a kitchen with 50 50 ovens and you have 50 kids, little kids who are very smart and intelligent, but they're kids. And they're like, we want to make a cake. And you're like, okay, grab your eggs, go run and make a cake. And you're like, oh God, I hope this all works out. And when they say it's irreversible, why is it irreversible? It's because the person across the street has 45 kids baking cakes and you got to beat them. And it's just this continual race. And you can't just stop baking cakes because then your entire business goes away, you get sued. And that's the human methodological side of it, where it's I have to follow along in this path. I'm stuck, or the business goes away. And a lot of these businesses are contracted by law to make profit and do its best for the company. So now you've got a lot of political, social, financial, technological, and even law-based realities to deal with. And that's a hard train to stop altogether. And I get it where it's just make it stop. And it's like Elon Musk and all these other people had commissions where they're like, hey, we need to slow down AI. Guess what didn't happen? We didn't slow
Well,
down AI. It doesn't look like it's going to slow down because if we stop,
well,
go ahead.
I would say this, yeah. I don't think it's an engineering problem, right? To slow it down. You just can't regulate innovation. You can in certain ways, but getting too much and too fast. And so I think what's going to happen is restriction to data is going to probably become more and more. And whether that's legally or people just saying, we just talked about them with Scarlett Johansson, and we'll talk about this later with the actor strike. Oh no, if you want to access to any of my data, you're gonna pay me and you only have limited access or you can't we'll know if you train your model because we're gonna have some kind of timestamp or something on there. So
Mhm.
there's gonna be limited restrictions to how to try to train these models. Yes, they can be powerful and they could probably learn their limited set, but there could be some restrictions on how much information they gather. And I think
Right.
that may be the only stoppage. And that's more of an economic problem, right? How do you ensure your data is or at least you get compensated for the access to your data to train your
Yeah.
models?
I forgot who it was, and artists may understand this problem a little better. Having access to data is one thing, but and then wagging a finger at somebody and saying, "No, can't take that person's data." You could reverse engineer the data based on the output. Now that we've got all this skill in terms of AI skills about being able to reverse engineer things, because that's technically how they're figuring out how to make AI art. They're reverse engineering a lot of output from artists. So artists used to have a problem when there was a certain landscape style that developed. And some guy said, "This is my style, you're stealing from me, and this is a forgery. Look at this." This man spent so much time working on trying to get the forgers taken out of the picture that he realized, wait a minute, in this time that I'm trying to get forgers taken out of the picture, I'm causing more forgers to appear. I'm causing more people to look at other styles of art because it just seems like a bad deal to even deal with it. And at some point, I don't want to say you give up, but it's like the sharks are going to be in the water. And every time you try to kill one, it's like Hydra, two heads appear. And, oh my God, how can I even stop this? And yeah, you can't really stop certain flows. You just have to outgrow them or buffer yourself or build up walls. But stopping it, That's a difficult thing. So, yeah, that's the singularity we're talking about, and I think it's coming around in ways that we didn't quite expect. So, how
Mm.
many years do you give it?
Yeah, yeah, I think 10 years is good time frame. I just don't trust these guys, man. These technology guys, they prove it time and time again, especially with social media, that they can't be trusted, man. And it's not their fault. They're just looking to make profit. And once they realize that social media only makes sense if people stay in it longer because you get more visibility to get more eyeballs on advertisement, then they had to figure that out. And the way to do that was keep people enraged. So they're using people's psychology against them in order to profit off of them. And likewise, AI is going to do the same thing on steroids. It's going to be this intention thing. We talked about this guy had mentioned that there's no such thing as free will. And this attention hacking is going to get very severe. Literally right before this call, we were trying to get prepared. I was looking at something on Facebook to prepare for this. I got distracted. And so just like that, it's just they know what things, and it's getting better and better. And AI is enhancing that. But also the AI agent is learning more and more about human behavior. It probably knows more about us than we know about ourselves from a human behavior standpoint.
Yes, in a way that we don't understand that they know,
Yes.
which is
Exactly. It's scary.
what is that quote? There was this old man who was scared. I forgot the situation in the story, but the old man was scared, and they're like, "What's wrong?" He's looking out into the forest. Somewhere out there, somebody that I don't know is doing God knows what. He just kinda like rubbing his chin, looking out into the forest, and I was like, "Dang, that's a deep thought." Somebody is doing God knows what.
Exactly. That's how it is, man. Just put your head down and don't worry about it until it happens. Mr. Benja, we'll keep an eye on this, right? We'll keep an
Tell
eye on
about it.
AI watch.
Tell about
That's
it.
for sure. We'll keep an eye on this stuff. This is, yeah. That's what we're here for, guys. We're on the wall. We keep a watch to let you guys know what's going on out there.
Yeah. And as always, contact us because we wanna hear what you think. And story number 3. Theo, this is your wheelhouse. The actor strike is over, but Hollywood is still in trouble. Man, I'm about tired of hearing about this. I don't know about you. So, what's new with this actor strike?
Yeah, man. These actors finally went ahead and they figured it out with the producers, the studios, and they stopped the actor strike. So, woohoo, we're all there. But it really was stigma on two things, which was the revenue sharing component. They wanted the studio, especially Netflix, reveal their metric. And so they even got, I think they even got more than what the Writers Guild got. Writers Guild was saying you were going to get, if a TV show did 20% of the entire audience from the first week, you would get a percentage of that. So the actors got that. And then they were able to put it in a pool to help other actors and stuff like that. So it really came down to that revenue, understanding if it hit, then the actor should take advantage of that. But really it came down to AI. And the key was like, they didn't want things to happen where they create these synthetic performers, that's what they call them, to be reused. So if you were an actor, they would take your image, likeness, whatever. And then guess what? Scarlett Johansson shows up in a movie about basketball. You're like, what's Scarlett Johansson doing this? She signed her likeness away in so many words. So now they have clauses in there that the studio's going to use a likeness. They have to form the original performer and they have to create some kind of compensation model for that. So it really came down to AI and money, and which is interesting. AI kind of delayed this again. So it's to your point, we talked about this AI is still coming. It's relentless. It's like the Terminator, and we can legislate this and put things in there to hamper everything. But man, it's still coming. And so I think the actor strike, yeah, the actor strike just highlighted that. One thing high level was a result of this. We had two strikes over taking over 6 months to resolve. Estimated $6 billion erased from the national economy. And then obviously all the different movies that have been delayed because of this. I think not Daredevil. Well, Daredevil was one of them, but that may have been a good thing for Disney. So we'll talk about that
Yeah,
later.
we'll get that.
Some of these movies and TV shows, that was a good thing they got delayed. So everybody could just let's rethink this thing. But one of the things that got delayed. It was supposed to come out next year, and it got delayed for another year. Which the whole Marvel engine really is getting delayed because of this and other performing movies. So it's gonna be pretty dry season in the next couple of months, but at least it's over. Any thoughts on that? Has it been your high level or you just done with it? It's a hey, I just did what they had to do, I guess.
I mean, as I said before, it's, you if someone's going in a direction and your only response is to stick your heels in the dirt and go in the opposite direction. I think that to me that just feels like you're going to slow down the dragging of yourself. Yeah, I'm going to slow the train down a little bit, but that didn't help me a lot for the future. I think a lot of some moves could have been made to I don't know. Yeah, some moves could have been made to do things a little better. Like if you look at the you're talking about the synthetic performers and those that somebody's noticed that there were like Disney had been putting background CGI characters to fill up the stands and things like that. We know they do that, but now they're becoming more and more apparent and they're using them in closer and closer shots. So now it's, hey, if you got actors, sure, but guess what? A bunch of these are going to be more CGI. And once again, I think it's going to hollow out the middle area a little. So you're gonna end up with a lot of extras not having jobs anymore, and I don't know, I just don't think it works out as well as they think it will, because Hollywood's gonna get Hollywood taken care of first.
Yeah. And just FYI, more strikes are probably coming. They mentioned here the net code, which is all the reality TV, soap operas, game shows, late night. That contract ends in June 30th. So we'll see what they want demand. And then the
It's
ISC, there was just the crew agreements and Teamsters. So all the people below the line, the carpenters and the lighting guys and all that, their contract expires July 31st. So
it's they're trying to make themselves replaceable, like, they're trying to get themselves replaced. I paint the walls in the studios, I'm not gonna do it anymore unless I get paid. I feel you. But there's a guy out there with a laptop working on a program that paints walls automatically. I don't think you understand what's happening, sir. No, I paint walls. I do it better than the old computer. It's like, all right, dude. Good luck with that. Strike, but know what's coming.
yeah, we'll see. We'll
Sh-
see. We'll keep an eye on this. But yeah, so that's why you're going to see the lay on your TV shows, movies in the next couple of months because they finally got back to work. And unfortunately, it's the end of the year. Everybody's trying to go home for vacations. That's just Hollywood. They're not going to rush to get these movies done for your sake. To go home and relax and get started in January. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, strike while the router is hot. All right. All right. Story number 4. Disney's effing up. That's the only lead in I got for it. Disney's effing up. Let me tell you, let me just run down different ways and Theo, then we can start to break it down. All right. So the parks are being expensive. We talked about this in our podcast where it's too expensive to have fun. That's a problem for them. The streaming business has lost nearly 11 billion since the launch of Disney Plus. Streaming's getting hit. And now you've got your flagship properties, Star Wars movies, haven't released a feature film in a while. So that's just a languishing studio property and everything else. You're getting a lot of noise and negative, contentious talk on social media, right or wrong. That's just not good for a brand. Stocks down 6% over the past 6 months. And for somebody as big as Disney, that's a problem. You got a lot of properties to deal with. They're buying Hulu outright for $9 billion in a have to move. It's not like yeah, they have to buy it now. Still don't know what to do with ESPN. We were talking about sports earlier. Maybe they start selling a little bit of this off or licensing or something. But yeah, that's a pretty good laundry list of things to deal with, Theo. What's going on with Disney? How's the Mouse House?
It's effing up, man. You just listen to everything accurate there. And people see it. It's not just from the quality of content, the properties, MCU's down, what's it called?
Pixar.
Uh, Pixar is down.
They cannibalized
Dis-
Pixar. I didn't even mention that.
yeah, so it's just they're just trying to find anything. The movies have been down, TV shows have been down, parts to get more and more expensive. Anytime I put up Disney content on my stuff, I get like thousands of likes and stuff, and people are commenting about how expensive everything is. And it's just, yeah, I think is Iger the right person to steer Disney through this challenging? I don't know, man. This takes someone who's really gonna. Iger was good at being a marketer and being a cheerleader about how Disney is great and building buying properties to grow it. But we're in a new era where you need a operator, someone who's going to cut costs and be r- vicious on how do you get things in control. And that might not be either. So we'll see, man. I stand for Disney. I wanted them to do well, but and then this whole political thing, we know what's going on with that. It's a lot of challenges at one time. I don't know, man. We'll see. 6 months from now, I wouldn't be surprised. To be honest, with you. I would not be surprised. There's been rumors. Will Disney look to sell itself or something like that? There could be some more discussions around that if things don't turn around in the next 6 months.
Yeah, most of what I have to say about Disney relates to us getting into the MCU update, and don't get me started on Star Wars again. But it's I don't want to say sad, but it's dang. I wanted this to turn out differently. And can they pull themselves out? I always hope for the best, but and this is my ignorance. I don't see it. And I don't see how they really do that without a big PR push, a big let's get back to dealing with the people and really getting our people excited. I look on Disney Plus and I'm like, yeah, it's like they're not even trying. And I don't even know if it's possible to sense internal employee malaise from looking at a website, but I can almost feel the internal corporate malaise of people just walking around. Hey man, how's it going? Mickey Mouse. Yeah, let's stand up and say the pledge of allegiance to Disney. The Disney pledge every morning before we start work, and everybody's just let's be done.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I think this is a good point that we'll keep up with seeing how, look, Disney, you want to hire us? We're here. We got some ideas. We can get you through this. Let us know. And hey, look, for those that listen to us, if you guys have ideas, shoot them out to us. Reach out to us like the show versus business on
Okay.
Instagram and YouTube and all that, because we'd love to hear your opinion.
Here is the saving grace, if we want to call it one. And this goes into our next story. There's a large and very energetic contingent of people who really like this new version of what Disney could be. I think the difficulty though is making sure that meshes with what you already have. And we'll get into that in a second, but that's all I got to say.
Love it.
Good with that. All right. Story number 5. Loki, the Marvels, and our MCU update. Spoiler time.
Spoilers.
Every time. Oh man. So He Who Remains, the story at the end of time. I don't know, how did you wanna format this? Because we're gonna let's jump into Loki first, right? Or how did you wanna
Yeah.
format? I don't know.
Yeah, let's jump into Loki real quick because I don't think you saw the Marvels. I had the opportunity to see it earlier, so
Mhm.
I can do that in more detail. First of all, did you like Loki? Did you enjoy it?
I respected the hell out of Loki. I really did. There were a lot of great things about it. A butts coming, right? There were a lot of great things about it,
Good.
but after it was over, I sat down and looked at my plate and was like, "Wow, that was a good meal." So you really liked it. And I'm like, "This is Thai food. I actually came for barbecue. I don't know how this whole thing got mixed up. So this is something I did not want. Thank you very much." But it was fine for Thai food, right? How I feel after watching Loki. I'm like, I don't believe they this is not what I wanted. But it's good, it's solid. I did my Tenet thing. I checked all the timey-wimey stuff from all my Doctor Who references, and I was like, "No, no, timelines, branches, oh, actually inverting into a tree, the loom, temporal manifestations, duplication, it all works out." I just didn't want it.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all. I felt
I fell asleep.
I did fall asleep. I did a couple episodes, fast forward thing. It was like I have to watch this because I need to know what's going on, but it wasn't a joy in it. I will say this though, the last episode was a little bit more enjoyable, and there was pockets to your point that were pretty decent, and it really hinged on the acting, and that tells me that they, and in the nature of the story itself. Let's be honest, it really looped on itself, right? At the end, so it was basically everything you saw up to that point really did not matter at all, right? And so that tells me that they could have done that in like a 2 hour movie and been done with it, right? Like just a special event, 2 hour movie. and it could have been done with because really we did 5 episodes. Nothing really changed and happened in those 5 episodes that mean anything. That meant anything.
Yeah, and you have the whole Loki moved as a character and all that. It's like, fine, but I spent season 1, Quantumania, season 2, and then all that to say, "Hey, man, Loki has a heart, and he's gonna sit on this chair now and just hold his branches."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Alright, man." Artsy fartsy level, it's oh, that was really deep, and then the other level, it's just like, "Get the hell out of here with that."
We saw his art. They highlighted me. The storytelling is very like spoon fed. If you watch the trailers at the beginning, you see him saying, "I am burdened with glorious purpose." So the
Yeah,
arrogant God has become more benevolent, accepting God, and that's really what the transformation was about, which I get. And look, his performances, man. Tom Hiddleston did his job, man. He was excellent in this last episode. Owen Wilson, awesome as Mobius and giving his perspective. And heck, Jonathan Majors, though there's some controversy with him right now. Still, as he who remains, fabulous performance. Every time he's on the screen, just gives it some more energy.
yeah.
But beyond that, man, it was like empty calories. It's like, man, I didn't have to wait 6 hours for this.
Yeah, my if I wanna boil it down to one thing, I was like, I didn't care. It's and that this is why you're talking about falling asleep. It's "Oh, he's gotta go save his friends," and I'm like, "I can't stay invested because I don't think they're I you never sold me on the fact that these are friends of his." It's like, they did that scene of zooming in on Owen Wilson's face as he's, like, about to cry, and I'm like, "What are you crying for? He's that's not your friend. You barely showed any emotion when you're leaving your kids for the rest of your life. What are you talking about?" And you never got to see him on the water with the I didn't even get that.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
why
fantasy.
why is B-15 his friend? She was beating the hell out of him with that stick all the whole time, and then it's these aren't your friends, dog. Casey never liked you. He stole Infinity Stones probably. That's probably why he got his kleptomaniac thing. It's just come on, none of this you told they told and didn't show. That was the thing. Like, I cared when old Loki from season 1 showed his glorious purpose. I was like, "Okay, that guy's got glorious purpose." You remember he was doing the,
Yeah, I do.
right.
Yeah. Well, you see, they're setting up some stuff at the end of Loki. So now, just to get out the mechanics of it all, instead of just one sacred timeline, they now have all these infinite branches and they have to stay. The reason why they're staying in existence because Loki is making them, allowing them to stay. But now all these different variants can live. And that does set up what I'm going to talk about in the Marvels a little bit. But yeah, Loki, check it out. You want to check the box so you won't be confused. Great. But definitely not the greatest TV show as it could have been because they have a lot of promise from season 1. So with that being said, tomorrow was Mr. Benja. Were you at all interested in seeing this at all?
Yes, because I wanted to see what they did with it. I also wanted to see how they if they came back I wanted to see what they did with the characters because they seem like innocent type of characters with no connection to anything, all of a sudden having a connection to something. So I wanted to see what they connected, but I wasn't terribly interested.
Yeah, me neither. But I'll be honest, I was pleasantly surprised, man. The little hint in the trailers of them switching, bodies when they use their powers worked really well in the movie where you see them fighting and switching out. It almost had such an energy. It was like a different kind of view of fighting style. So it's the same person there now, a new person has to use a different format to fight the bad guys. Right. So it was interesting. And then they would mess up and the bad guys would come with them sometimes. It was just very chaotic, but very interesting kind of format. And they
Yeah.
kept that going quite a while. So I thought that was interesting. They took some left turns in the storyline where yeah, did some weird things. They had a musical number in the middle, which was interesting, but they
Uh,
really kept the fun high. And the fact that it was only an hour and 45 minutes shows me that they really said, okay, let's just have a fun time and then do the business of what we need to get to the next step here later. But we're going to have a fun time overall. And I think they met that. But obviously, there's a lot of hate toward Captain Marvel, justifiably, be honest with you. And let's be honest, she's a nothing character. She's never been anything character in the comic books. No one really knows what she's about. The most interesting thing that ever happened to her was when Rogue took her powers, right? And that's so
Yeah.
sad. So I would just say, but Kamala Khan, she turned out really well. If you watch the TV show,
Yeah.
fabulous performance. Rambeau, Monica Rambeau, I think the actress is great. Character, not so much. But I see what they were doing. When you look at all three of them, when they're together, you have the brain, the brawn, and the heart. And that's what they each represented. And so when I saw that, I said, okay, that kind of, because Monica Rambeau was a smart one. She figured out all different things. Obviously, Carol Danvers is the muscle. She's the most powerful Avenger. And Camila Khan is always hugging people and just so excited. And so that kind of worked. I think that theme worked. So overall, nothing special, spectacular. Now, spoiler alert. You've probably heard about this, Mr. Benja.
Is I don't only thing I don't want to spoil is the end credits.
Oh, okay. All right. So we won't talk about it. So let's just say there's a reason why there's multiple universes. They still go with the multiverse
Okay.
and they're starting to do some interesting things.
Alright, yeah.
And matter of fact, at the end, yeah, it was funny. My kids, we were watching this one guy when he saw the end credit, he's still up in his feet. He said, "Oh my God." We
Awesome.
tried to he, yeah, I looked at him down there. I was like, I thought I was excited. He was just like,
Alright, Imma check it out tomorrow then. That sounds
all right, guys. So anyway, I think that's it, Mr. Benji. Anything else we want to discuss? So high level, go check them out if you want to do your homework. Have a good time, but don't expect anything high for both of those. I guess that's what I would say. If
mhm.
you say this, yeah. And let us know what you think of them. Don't give up on Marvel. I still have faith in Feige. He can turn this ship around. Just have faith.
Glorious purpose.
Yeah, you can say that. All right, everyone. Thank you for your time. Please subscribe and comment and show us the business on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Listen to us at Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Visit us at our website, Show versus Business. All right, Mr. Benja. Have a great one.
Peace.